to bring the motion to bring the town board meeting of June 28th, 2013 to order, please.
Second. Motion to bring the meeting to order. Don't worry.
Councilman Kramer?
Yep.
Councilman Brady? Yes. Supervisor Flood?
Yes.
Councilman Hitzelberger?
Yes.
And Councilman Doyle?
Can we move to silence, please? Or I should salute the flag. I missed the section here. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have a moment of silence for the military serving in this country and out of this country. Thank you. I need a motion to open the public hearing, local law number 2 of 2013. A local law establishing no parking area on Mechanic Street.
Need a second.
Second.
Councilman Reamer?
Yes.
Councilman Brody?
Yes.
Councilman Hitzelberger?
Yes.
Councilman Doyle?
Yes.
Supervisor Flood?
I'll abstain. I'm going to recuse myself from the meeting at this point. My attorney is going to represent me in this matter. So I will step back from the board.
Do you want? Yes, please.
Good evening. I'm Bethany Ralph. I'm an attorney here in Amenia, and I'm representing the Cozy Corner in connection with the proposed resolution. Our interest, of course, is that there is parking presently on Mechanic Street, and the loss of that parking impacts the business. In particular, there is no handicapped access from the parking spots on Route 343. I measured the area that is involved in the in Morris Associates recommendations and the DOT I believe recommendations as recited by Stan Whitehead, and the curb on the Dollar General side is about 60 feet. I see that the resolution speaks of 113 feet, but there's not 113 feet on that curb. I estimated about 5 parking spaces there. And on the other side, in front of the Cozy Corner restaurant, the proposal is to ban the parking from the curb, or from Route 343 to the telephone pole, and that's about 35 feet. And we understand that that there's a 20-foot setback requirement for cars at an intersection, and the concept of fitting one car in that space is not that desirable because it would cause backing up problems. So we appreciate those factors, and the safety concerns as well of course are paramount. But the loss of the handicap parking is serious for the restaurant, as a lot of people who use wheelchairs will desire to frequent the restaurant, and it might be one of their only activities over an extended period of time. So we would request as a compromise that you allow, that if you decide to pass the resolution, that there be handicap parking allowed on the Dollar General side. So that could allow, say, 3 handicap spaces away from the intersection. And that would meet the needs of those members of the community who need access for their quality of life, and also address the safety concerns that have been brought up by the board.
And there would be no parking on the other side?
In front of the restaurant?
Right.
Well, you know, we acknowledge that there's only space for 1 car.
But wouldn't you
So-
want the handicap on that side, not on the Dollar
We
General?
would accept that too. That would be fine.
I think, yeah, I mean, I've revisited myself. Also comes into play the school bus issue. And we would sent a letter about dropping off the kids, you know, and people backing up out of the parking area. But
Have you seen the letter?
I've seen the letters,
Yeah.
certainly.
yeah, I would just like to say, I think a compromise is in order, because they'll always be backing out on those parking areas. And if the bus were to pull up further, you know, they could be beyond any conflict. And if we did, you know, 20-foot setbacks from the crosswalks, I think it's a better compromise than having no parking at all. I was reading the secret, the environmental quality review, and I was just talking with Ian. There's a number 9 on that says there's no, for example, what is the present land use in the vicinity of the project? And it's checked not applicable. I think it's very applicable. Your boxes are residential, industrial, commercial, agricultural, and open space, park, forest, all that. I think it should have been checked commercial. Commercial parking is just so limited, and I think we can reach a compromise. I agree that the 114 feet is overwhelming. If anything, you're coming to a stop sign, you're slowing down as you approach 343. So I kind of agree there has to be a compromise here. I think it's a little excessive. So I would concur.
Thank you, Mrs. Reamer. I'm wondering, with respect to the school bus issue, I read the letter, of course, and I'm wondering why they can't let the children off in front of the houses, it's quiet
Exactly,
down
that's
there.
what I went back and reread the letter. Why do they have to stop right there? Because they only add to the congestion. If they were to go up Mechanic Street, south on Mechanic Street, they would be in front of houses.
Correct.
There's no backing up.
Correct.
So I think needs to be a compromise all around.
Okay.
I would agree.
Thank you.
But I don't know how other people feel.
They live on the 340, on the south side of 340.
Can I say something?
But there's a sidewalk. There's a good sidewalk there.
Sure, we're public hearing, you're the public. You're not on the board.
My name is Bill Flood, and I'm the owner of Route 3330, Route 343, the Cozy Corner Cafe and Tap Room. I totally understand the parking issues. We have had a parking issue on Main Street for years. As Amenia grows and the commercial district grows, we are going to have to deal with the parking issues that we have. At my restaurant, on a weekend, we serve anywhere from 150 to 200 and 250 people on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We've had one issue with one accident, which was the person that got hit in my restaurant, but was caused by another car on 343. Had nothing to do with the intersection. The people seem to find a place to park, and they come into the restaurant. Obviously, handicap parking is an issue. We have no handicap parking on the whole all of Main Street. you know, we have curb cuts, but we have no handicap parking there. So I do have a ramp. When we did the remodel of the building, we did build a ramp so I can get handicapped people into the restaurant, and a lot of people use it. I do have a lot of, as we get older, we need that ramp. And we do have a lot of elderly people that use that ramp, that come into the restaurant. I have also spoken to Easy Street, which you'll see tonight. They've here to stripe the parking lot. They will repaint the curb yellow at my expense, and then they will put the hash marks around that curve so we can push the cars out further around that curve. And if you want, I can paint the other side of the other curb back to the 20 feet to that level so that people will park. Obviously, that makes a big difference. I've been to other villages like Rhinebeck, Millbrook. They paint the curbs orange, and then the sign is like 20 feet. That's what starts to no parking. Obviously, they're all villages are tight for parking. There's no question. So I would like to work out a compromise. I'm willing to work out a compromise with you, like my attorney has said, and hopefully that we can at some point. It does not make sense to make Mechanic Street, the whole street, no parking.
Well, when we talked with Chuck Walters, again, about the tennis court, basketball area, if we were to do parking there, we would lose 10 places on 343.
Correct.
So
It's not.
we can't afford that either. So my feeling is when you have more parking, people do tend to slow down, I think, because a crowd begets a crowd. It's always been that way. But I think a compromise, you know, with a bus going further down the road in front of a residential area where the kids can be let off, not right at the corner. It just doesn't make sense. It does put them in peril.
They pick up 2 kids that are from, that walk down from
2 kids
340.
today and none
Right.
during the summer at
Right.
all. So I think if we just talk with the school district and if the bus were to go down further on the road and stop it, you know, from the crosswalks, a car length, 20 feet, you're coming to the stop sign, so you're approaching a stop sign. You're anticipating stopping. I just think we need to provide for more parking and reach a compromise to do it.
Well, one of the problems has been when, is having vehicles on both sides of the street near the intersection. If there's a truck on either side, it's been a concern by a lot of local residents, by the fire department, by anyone with, you know, any kind of a vehicle going through that area. It's there's sight issues, and it's also gets very narrow when there's vehicles on both sides of the street. I can, you know, I don't mind having a compromise, but I don't think there should be vehicles parked on both sides of the street in that area, right, you know, just past the crosswalk.
On Mechanic Street or 343?
Right, on Mechanic Street, because
No,
that's
they
where
shouldn't
I've
be right
gotten
at
most of the complaints.
They shouldn't be right at the crosswalk. I'm saying you step back a car length, which is 20 feet, that's a parking space, 10 by 20. We have 2 lengths on 343, so as they approach the stop sign, they have more of a sightline distance going on to 343 when they get to that stop sign. Coming the other way, they have 2 car lengths to see before they go around the corner, and if it is painted, that would be ideal, just so people have a sense of where the traffic lane is. I just think it's so important. We can't give it up. And I was in Rhinebeck the other day, and it's tight, but people stop when something's going on, and it tends to gather a crowd. So I think we can compromise on this.
So you can physically fit a handicap parking space in front of Cozy Corner, but yet 20 feet back from
Yeah.
the intersection,
Yes,
so that the sight distance is respected that was recommended.
yes, I would say
And then that
opposite
would leave
where
the
that ramp is.
Dollar General side clear and free of any parked cars on that side.
Well, I'm saying Dollar General side too, stepping back
20
at
feet.
20 feet from the crosswalk.
My concern is that
we remember that not everybody in this town drives a car. I mean, I drive a commercial truck. It's a very large truck making that turn from 343 to Mechanic Street. If the ambulance is coming or the fire truck is coming or going through and somebody's parked there, it's a problem to make the turn. I'm not the world's best driver, I freely admit that, but, you know, it's really tight.
And I've heard that from several people.
Yeah. I do agree with what Ms. Ralph said, which was 113 feet might be a bit much, but will 20 feet allow 2 pickups to pass by each other safely at the intersection? On
20 feet.
Setback on Mechanic Street, allow 2 pickups to go through.
Well, it's the sight lines that I'm looking at.
I'm looking at not getting hit or not hitting someone.
I think we need to revisit it, I really do. I think the map that was submitted, and I don't know, did people come in and look at it with that map? Because I think the map is very important, and that's what I went back to look at. It's excessive. I would say let's revisit this, and let's do it right, and not just do it because the map has the wrong numbers. This is an important local law, and I think we need to further study it. I really do.
We can put off the decision if you want us to come back at our next meeting and review more carefully the drawings that Pete Sotero came up with.
No,
The
Stan came up with
Stan
that. So it's
drew.
not, I mean, I would like to know what's left in between too, but it's not on there. We only have some distances on either side.
So come
We
up with a
need
compromise.
Where the parking is, we need a scale map that says what's left, and none of that is shown. So we're making a decision kind of in a vacuum, and I think we need to do it right.
But I still don't think there should be parking on both sides.
Well, I think we need to look at that.
Yes, by all means.
Well, I agree with you, Victoria, and we certainly shouldn't jeopardize the business of the Cozy Corner that's been there for, in various, you know, in other types of business in the sense of, so to speak, and other owners. And why in the heaven's name did you ever allow, and I'll say it that way, parking on the other side of that corner? Why was this big? I will use the word big because that's a very narrow street, and you put those trees there.
Right.
And those bushes, which cut down, put a parking spot. I really, again, I guess it must have been you guys' decision. I would think it had to be.
It was a plan.
That was the planning board.
The
Huh?
county recommended it, the planning board didn't have to.
The county well,
The intersection was named.
yeah, it always has been a busy in this intersection in the sense of, a lot of people live on Depot Hill, to say nothing of the fire department. I'm sure the fire department has expressed their concerns.
Yes, they
And
have.
I would certainly
With
agree with them
vehicles on both
100% between they
Well,
happen to be located on that street. Them and the emergency response. And then, so where was the county? What were they looking at when they?
I don't know,
That's
because
not a county road.
Pete
That's a
Sotero's-
town road.
Pete
If
Sotero
my
said
recollection is
that
right.
the island did encroach on the road, which is the town road. So
Right,
that narrowed
so why
it
did,
even further.
but anyway,
Yeah.
but I just want to reinforce that there's a great concern, I would think, about it from a lot of people in this town.
Yeah.
As, you know, you're all probably getting all kinds of calls. I'm just standing here and I don't see many people here. And they could have been here in the past, you know, and they could have been here before, so to speak, but that is a major problem there, and I really don't think its business should be jeopardized by this, which is what you're really doing, in essence, not intentionally, but that's what's happening.
Right.
And to have
Well, if
parking
there's parking on one side of the road.
on both sides. Anyway, and I think that you all I don't know what you mean by compromise, and that's only my lack of understanding all of the, that's going on with your discussions, Darlene, but whatever that word means, you got to stop and think about this one, I think.
Absolutely.
That's what
I
you're.
don't think we make a decision
really-
on these figures. I
no.
think we need to make sure
I don't
it's
think
done
it's
right.
fair to the fire department or the emergency response people, number one, to put them in a situation like you're putting them in, so to speak, So I hope you really think this one out some more. And
Thank you, Arlene.
Yes, Sue, go ahead.
Sue Gregory, Depot Hill, and I drive on that road every day and pull out every day. And one of the first, and I'm glad to see the Cozy Corner back, believe me. Absolutely. I used to go there every day. But you also have to consider Judge Manning. And I was nearly wiped out by Judge Manning, the short van, the straight van. Those are big vans, not the 12-horse van, the 6-horse. Has anybody taken vehicles and set them there and turned the corner? I know when you pull out from Mechanic Street, you have to inch way out to see if there's vehicles parked on the left-hand side. And, hopefully that is solved. The school bus, I know it stops there, but it also stops up at the head of the rail trail, the little road between Judge Manning and the rail trail parking lot. So it stops at the Cozy, and it also stops up farther, because there's really no houses in between. There's the one with the big garage, and then the other one, and then the house next to Bill McGee's, and they don't pick up there. But, they do stop up farther up the road to pick up the kids, and then they go down Railroad Ave. So I don't know where else, you make the kids walk off of 343 for safety, and then do they have to come up more? I'm not sure. Do they come up to Conklin's garage maybe and get on the bus? Would that be a compromise? I don't know. I mean, it's a big bus. It's not a little bus. It comes around the corner, and but again, I think you can compromise. I do know that when there are cars parked on both sides of the street, it is not an ideal situation. And, especially with the crosswalks now, and hopefully, people don't get plowed over with the crosswalks, because that's pretty dangerous too. But, I do want to compromise, but I think you have to be equally as concerned about the people that drive on that road every single day. And the businesses, and so I hope everybody can work together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say one more thing. The curb cut at Dollar General has made a big difference in that intersection, because people used to go in and turn around and come back out, so that stopped, which has made it much safer. I know people don't like it, but it has made it much safer. So it has worked to that extent. They used to spin around and go back out. So in fact, there was a guy at the post office the other day that made a U-turn that was on the sidewalk in front of the post office. So it happens, but that's the driver's issue. And I agree, it's an issue. There's no question. It's an issue. We back them up a little bit. I think it may work. Maybe if we go a little bit more on the Dollar General side, maybe another half a car length to give the trucks enough room to swing in there. Something like that. That's the worst.
I suggest that we talk to, a couple of people from emergency response, who respond to emergencies. Talk to the Weebatuck bus driver. Talk to some of the businesses around there again and see if 1.5 car lengths, or, is there something between 113 feet versus, 20 feet, somewhere that makes sense, that would provide the kind of free and clear, talk to Judge Manning, see if there's some number that makes sense that everybody can live with. I don't know.
Well, the thing that most people seem to have the problem with are vehicles on both sides of the road.
Right, but how far back? Is it 113 feet back, or is it 20 feet back? You know, what's the right number?
Yeah,
And
there
I
has
guess
to be-
Darlene says she's not sure what that number
If
is.
you go back too far, McGee's gonna lose his parking also.
Yeah.
So-
I'm
I
just
think-
saying you should go look at it again and
I
see if
think,
there's
I
a
think
number.
it deserves a closer look, and
Right.
as I say, you know, who was it talking about, the emergency people, all of that. I think we need to
So-
revisit it. I don't want to have a local law that, just, it's going to be so encumbered, it doesn't make sense, and we need to make sure it makes sense for everybody.
Well, we need to ensure the safety of the people driving through the intersection.
Well, I think that's primary.
That's the primary thing, and it's nowhere near safe as it is.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah,
sooner
the
the
no
better.
parking sign on 343 is 75 feet from that curb. So that's been a nice thing. The no parking sign on 343 is 75 feet from the curb.
Mm.
It's beyond that yellow thing, and in front of Dollar General, there is no parking. There's no parking signs there, which, it's used every day.
Yeah, it does get used every day.
Same way across the street. it
But
gets
they're
used
going
every-
faster.
Right, and there's also
heading up.
an issue with speeders on the road, there's no question. That's
Whereas
an issue.
Mechanic Street coming to the stop sign, you're anticipating coming to a stop. So I think, that's what this local law is about, Mechanic Street. We're not even talking 343.
Right. Well, people are issued about easing out, there's probably, at least 75 feet either way.
Yes, it's a long,
It's a
long way.
big difference.
Yeah.
Is there any other public comment? So I guess we make a motion to,
Close the,
It's up to you. One thing to keep in mind is that if there are any changes to the local law in its current form, you have to reintroduce it and have a new public hearing and then adopt it. So it's up to the board how you want to proceed. You could close the public hearing and discuss whether you want to make changes to it at the next meeting. And if you decide to make changes, then introduce a new local law. You could continue the public hearing and get input from your highway superintendent, your engineer, things like that, before you decide whether or not you want to make changes.
if we continue the public hearing and then we decide to make changes, then that sets it off another meeting length, so,
Yeah, if you want to make changes of substance in the form that it's in now, then we have to reintroduce it.
I'm thinking that that's probably what's going to happen.
Hmm?
We would probably make substantive changes.
right, but
Because
we would also, if we make changes, that has to be advertised so that people
Yeah.
can review it ahead of time, so.
Correct.
We
You start
can't
the
just make
process
changes,
over
yeah.
again.
We'd have to have another public hearing.
Correct.
Yeah, but we would save one meeting cycle if we close the public hearing now.
I was, hmm?
Yes.
Yeah,
If you're certain that you're going to make changes to the form of this local law, I would recommend closing the public hearing and then discussing what those changes are going to be and let me know. And I can,
Then
Draft.
I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing.
I would second.
Can I ask one more question? If, let's say, we would change it from 115 feet on the Dollar General side to a shorter distance, 75 feet, let's
Mhm.
say, would that constitute a major change? Okay, so
you'd have to
yeah.
reintroduce.
And even if we added one car handicap space on that side, it again changes it. Okay.
I think it has to be very specific on this.
You've got to introduce the local law in its final form. That's what the statute says. So any changes to that final form, you have to unfortunately start the process over again.
Right.
Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Brody?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hensselberger?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
I'm back. And we return to the public. Please have a motion to return to the public meeting.
No, you're going to just return.
We just closed
Do
the.
we have any other public comments from
There's
the?
two. You have
Two? Kevin and Kevin?
Peter.
Or
Yeah.
Kevin and Peter?
Hello. I just wanted to remind everybody, 2 weeks from this coming Saturday, July 13th, is this year's Hidden Gardens of Amenia tour. As Gretchen mentioned at previous meetings, we're adding new gardens, kept some of the olds, got the Holland bamboo farm back. So anyway, the big change is you can buy your tickets online. So if you're watching at home now, out there in TV land, multitask. Get right on your computer right now. Go to AmeniaGardens.com, buy those tickets now. Tell your friends, people who want to donate from far distances, you just click on PayPal. And PayPal takes all credit cards. So if you have MasterCard, Visa, American Express, if you have Good Eyes, which I don't, you can see the little logos down here. So you'll be seeing these signs up. I'm going to plaster the town this weekend and all the neighboring towns. So please come. It helps us afford the money to give away. Last year was almost 20,000 plants, 15,000 in direct giveaways to the public, and plants that we planted around town. On that note, a little bit of a downer to that upbeat presentation. I'm thinking the Garden Club of Amenia or somebody, I don't know, the plants that were mowed down, when people hear that happening, I don't hear anybody talking about, I don't know, can't we get those restored? Can anybody come up with some funds? And
What's that?
replacing the plants that were accidentally destroyed, mowed down in the front garden here. Can we come up with funds to do that? I'll do the
Isn't that
free
why
volunteer labor again. But the Garden Club donated $400 worth of stuff and time and effort, and so we'll do the time and effort again, but it's just that when it's come up before, and I know it's involved in canceling a contract, and I can write a nice letter. I don't know if that'll help you with that guy in that process. I was watching you guys at the last meeting talking
Well,
about
that's why
that.
he has insurance.
Yeah, we'll talk to him.
Talk to him.
Would a letter facilitate that?
No,
Would it
we
be
would
good if
need
you got
a- We need a letter and the exact dollar amount and exactly what was destroyed.
Okay. Then I'll give you that.
Yes.
I'll give you that.
Everything.
Because, right, we don't go through all that work just to see it, cut down. So anyway.
But I have a question.
Yeah.
When they were working on the building, didn't someone go out there and already cut those flowers off? That's what happened.
Well,
Before the painters or before the guy whacked this.
some of them. Those were the daffodils. The daylilies weren't even up yet.
Okay.
We'd whacked the
All right, so that's the issue.
the daylilies,
So
yeah,
now
which were around the outer
now-
edge.
All right, well, my question, do the daffodils, will they come back?
Not the ones that the leaves were removed.
Okay, so someone here did those, right? Cut the daffodils.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yep.
it's not the whole.
That was the
okay.
No.
first of
The
four
first-
rounds.
The first round.
The first
Yeah.
of four.
We weren't even counting those in that figure, because a lot of those were,
All right.
people planted them. I think Victoria planted some previous years. Yeah, they were cut, trampled, weed whacked, and then he cut everything down around the stone, which had mulch around it, and then denied it, and I showed him a picture of
No,
his
just-
little
I
lawn
mean,
tire
like-
track.
Send us a letter, send us
Okay.
an estimate of what it's gonna cost. We'll send it to them, we'll go to them, and then we'll see. Obviously, as we move forward with this stuff, the town's gonna have to set some money aside for the plants.
Okay.
And whatever you can raise as
And
an
I'll get to
organization.
replanting that, sorry.
Right.
I'll get to replanting. I've just been waiting, because I was hoping the lilies
Right.
would come up before I pulled any big roots out. So sorry if that looked bad for a while, but I just wanted to see if anything else
Another
would
question
come
I
up.
have is, while we're having this conversation, is like the trees on Mechanic Street have never been mulched or weeded or anything like that. Who has done that in the past? Is it the volunteers?
We didn't. The Garden Club didn't. Did
It
the enhancement
originally
committee?
was mulched very deeply in the initial period, so now it's probably time to add some more. I know Ian said that he'd be happy to
Okay.
provide
All right.
a load of mulch, and then we just have to find a place to store it and get volunteers to wheelbarrow it over to each one and weed. And I think that's a good project. I think we could do that for the
Yeah.
enhancement committee.
I'm sure there's a certain person we know, I don't want to mention his name, volunteer his efforts without
Right.
asking him first privately, but I'm
So
sure there's
we
somebody
could
who would donate
follow
that,
that.
and we could help with that. And you're right, yeah, they were mulched very deeply.
Yeah.
So anyway, come to the garden tour, July 13th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Many new gardens. It gives us all the funds to do plantings all around town and do the big bulb giveaway in the fall. Thank you very much. And I'll leave you with some of these. If anybody wants to pick one up.
Kevin, can I ask one more thing?
Yeah.
Is there a way, is there more
What?
that we could do to fill in the planting bed between the roses? Is there?
Oh, yeah. We
Planting
were
that we could
we were
do?
going to get to that.
Okay,
I had to do
okay.
some of my own gardening.
Sure.
First. I
We
needed a
understand.
break for a while.
I know that we still have some funds in there, so we could.
Yeah,
some
it'll
more
be,
annuals or something.
and we'll make them perennial, so it won't matter that I'm planting them later, and it'll have to be, I might get done early with my personal stuff and then be able to do it the week between the July 4th picnic and the garden tour, but it might have to be after the garden tour. I'm just that pressed for time.
Okay,
All right?
I just
So,
wondered.
$20, come to the garden tour, see all the wonderful gardens. Bye-bye.
Hello. Last time I spoke with you here, I suggested the date for the next Amenia Music Hall show be in July. I would like to change that request and make it a later date, specifically Saturday, September 28th, if that's free, to give us more time to prepare and take advantage of the lessons we learned at the June 1st show. That show served to point up the fact that the hall is not ready for a show on a hot night. As anyone who was there, the few people who were there can attest to. Also, until the acoustics are improved, we should stick to unplugged acts. Loud rock and roll bands just don't work in there. And that can be addressed with some acoustic improvements, but right now, small bands. Therefore, I suggest that we hold the next show, the one on September 28th, outdoors on the basketball court, similar to the Sundowner, which many people have suggested to me. I also understand that the fire company might be able to provide their tent and dance floor, and as well as I suggest that they also could sell hot dogs and burgers to raise money for the fire company. It's been suggested that the Lions Club might want to be involved as well. I don't know the details about that, but certainly would welcome any involvement that would bring more
What
people
time
to
is the
the show.
concert?
Is it a Lions Club or?
No, what
Rotary?
time is the concert?
I'm sorry?
What time is the concert?
What time? I think that it might start a little earlier because I'm going to describe the program, but I would say that still the doors or gates would open at 6 o'clock and then the show would start at 7. Now, some people have said that's really early, but, I think a show that starts later than that would have to go later than that, or else it's not a very long show. So, and I plan to have 3 bands, which I'll describe. I also wanted to make use of the town's mailing list to send out postcards, because I missed that last time, and I think we relied too much on social media and the other things we did rather than a direct mail. And direct mail is a very powerful thing. Politicians here use it, and I think that if I could access that list, we had a nice postcard, we didn't send it to anybody, so that was a mistake. I'd like to try and do that. We also want to, I've got volunteers lined up to make larger wooden signs, similar to what the other people who advertise shows here, such as the golf outing, something of that grand scale would probably work. Make our own sandwich boards. We'll continue to use social media and try and have a strong presence there, newspapers and other print media, but not rely on them solely, because I think we didn't really reach the people who live here, as much as we could with a direct mailing. I want to reach our core audience, people who live in Amenia, as a priority. For the musical offerings, I thought a Dixieland band might be fun to open the show. I've had a lot of people applying, sending me information about their bands and acts and everything, so I have a lot of people to choose from. So I thought a Dixieland band works really well outdoors. And then bluegrass band, since that was a very big hit in the first show, I've got one that's very interested in performing. And then for the last band, I'd like to have a rock band for dancing. And, I think that might be a fun program. I've started to work out the plan for the ticket taking and many other details that need to be addressed, but if you give me the go-ahead, I'll I would like to elaborate at a later date.
Was TriArts going to be doing something? You mentioned that.
I don't have my calendar, so if I
Okay.
didn't have the heads up on that. Of the dates that they're picking, it was Studio 22, not TriArts. TriArts is here during July, won't be here in September.
Okay,
So it'll
September
be
20th, Saturday night.
For September, so TriArts will be out by then.
okay.
And I've already discussed how we could create a front door, essentially, at the gate by the basketball court, and I'd even like to have a second way to get in from the front door, the way we've been going and doing the show at the hall, and also prepare the gym as a rain option. So if we get really bad weather. I looked up the history of the date, and in 2004 it rained 2.5 inches. So it's possible that could happen, but I wish I'd looked up the humidity date for the other show. But so I think the Sundowner was sort of a good model, and I think we could improve on that as well. And that it's still the Amenia Music Hall, even if it's out in the field. I guess we could call it the Amenia Music Hall out in the field. But so that's my request and my plan, and I hope you'll be supportive of that and let me do that again.
Yeah, actually, there's another event that day that's earlier from 10 to 3. That's when we have our community day at the Indian Rock Schoolhouse.
Oh, okay. Well, that wouldn't really be a conflict, though.
No,
would it?
I'm not saying it's a conflict. I'm just saying it'll be like a whole day of events for the town.
Oh, that would be nice, yeah. And I think that the Sundowner was really, fun, but, more bands and the tent and the dance floor, if assuming that, everything falls into place. Again, we can make the same arrangement where the town benefits from the sale of tickets. We would have beverages, and I think that the fire company does a great job with the hot dogs and providing the hot food, so if they're interested, that would be a nice thing. That's my plan. So if you give me the go-ahead, I'll flesh out what I want to do and how we'll do it.
Did the Sundowner provide alcoholic beverages, or?
The Sundowner actually had the hot dogs and hamburgers, and people basically went off the premises and brought beer back. There was beer being, it wasn't sold. It wasn't sold. The liquor license that we have for the hall allows us 4 more dates. I think 4 more dates, and for this year. And we could do the same thing we did last time: sale of tickets, carnival tickets, which really helps control it. Mm-hmm. And the fire company could use tickets for their sales, and different color ticket or something, so they could recoup any money that they could make from that. And I think that the front door, the entry tickets would go to the town to,
How much would
benefit.
the ticket, how much would it cost?
Well, I don't know. I get a lot of different opinions on this, frankly. Some people say that $20 is too much. Some people say it's not enough. So I'm not really sure. The first show, nobody complained. So far, nobody's complained and said, why don't you have a $5, why don't you have a $10 or $15 ticket? I think one thing that we could do is offer the tickets to be less expensive online. Maybe they're $15 online. and, $20 at the door. So that's one of the things. But, I mean, I'd welcome people's opinion on the entry. Certainly, if we could charge more, that would be better. More money for the town. But, comparatively, other music venues charge $35, but they have larger acts than I've been, than I've been getting. So they have more famous acts, basically. So I think the $20, entry fee could work again. And are there any suggestions or opinions on that?
But there wasn't a fee for the sundowner.
I'm sorry?
There wasn't a fee for the sundowner.
No, there wasn't, no. And there was no, ticket, there was no, people could just walk in. So I think that the same rules apply for going to a show out in the field. As walking into the hall. I'm sorry?
John, if you have some ideas?
One of the things with the Sundowner that was really enjoyed, and you had a lot of families coming, is that there was not a fee.
Right.
So if there were other items, expanding maybe the choice of foods that were made available, or I hate to encourage the choice of having an alcoholic beverage here, but if you are serving beer, you'll have the individuals coming out and having a good time, and they'll come up and they'll grab 2 beers because of the no entry fee, rather than just coming up and having the 1 ticket. And, having it a long night of bands, and a lot of individuals did have their coolers and had food there. So, and being an outdoor event, you'll get a lot more people coming.
There's a lot more room.
There's a lot more room. They can go out on the grass. One of the things that was talked about and happened with the Sundowner was there were events throughout the property. There were events for the kids
Right.
over here, so that way the parents could be over in one area. The town hired children off of the summer camp staff, came and worked that evening and had a babysitting service. That way it was a family event. There was kid music, kid songs going on one side, while the adults were dancing on the tennis courts. And it was a family type of event, and it being on Community Day, I think it's great to bring back the Sundowner. And I know we've spoken about that, and a lot of individuals have spoken about how great the Sundowner, it was a fun event.
Yeah.
And it does tie in with Community Day.
Well, the thing is that I know from discussions about the music hall show that the town can't benefit from the sale of
No, but you
beverage.
can always do donations. A lot will come in and give a donation. You have your T-shirts. There's other items that can be sold where you can make a profit off of it. And just having the admission fee and kind of being an introduction to your winter list of events that you can be holding in the house. Have like a one free-for-all kind of event for the entire community. Encourage everyone to come out, see the wonderful job. I was here. I had a great time. I was dancing in that hot.
I know, I was the MC.
And let everyone know that this is what happens here, and it's kind of like a showing of what the great work that you do. And I think people.
How much of the bands and so on?
Well,
my next question was that.
How do we pay for the bands?
How to spin off this Dawn's thing is, we did have a lot of kids here, and it was a great thing for the parents to bring the kids to a free event that didn't cost them any money. It was a good family night. It was a good fun. It was a fun night. So we had the bouncy ball thing, the bouncy thing.
Yeah.
There's some other activities that they had out there.
The crafts for the kids.
I think they had badminton or something. They had some other stuff out
sports and
there.
activities the kids were all playing. They thought it was just as great,
Sure.
And we did talk about having a bonfire that night, but it just never happened. But, things to do for the kids and really tying it into
Right.
a community event, that's what we need.
And if we could spin off the Community Day, it would be a great thing. So,
Well, I'm sorry. I would be happy to, arrange for the bands, stage the show,
okay.
do all of that. I would not be appropriate to be involved in the other parts of that because that's not my area of expertise. So if the town would like to do the side activities, or other groups would, that's great. I would like to focus on the musical part of the show, and that could be my role in this. It's different than what we've been doing in the music hall, in that's a music show. It's not really designed for families to come as a group. Not to say that that's bad, but it wasn't designed for that. So if we want to do something more like the Sundowner, I would be happy to arrange the musical part. But I think that other groups and other people should arrange the rest of it. I'm not willing to take that on, frankly, because I think that's more complicated, and it's not something I really know about. So if we could work out an arrangement like that, I'll put on the show. And also, at least for the first show, the entry money paid for the bands. The second show, there was no crowd, so I basically paid for the bands. But I think that that's something to be considered. If
Excuse
there's
me,
no
Peter?
entry fee, then somebody's going to put up the money. And
If we do end up charging an entry fee, would it be possible to have perhaps a table or something at the schoolhouse where if people, participated in the community day at the schoolhouse, they could get a wristband or something there, and that would waive their entry fee
Sure.
to the event at
I
night?
mean, or
if
kids
that
under,
is the way
under 10 or whatever age we want to make come in free. Certainly, you're not going to charge little kids to come to something like that. And I would encourage families to come. I mean, I think it's very positive for kids to see adults having a good time and different kinds of music. So I'd be very happy to sort of make an amalgam of those two events, and if that would make everybody feel more comfortable with it and be more fun. But again, there is the question as I would have to commit to basically personally paying for the bands.
That's necessary. Have to figure out
Why
a
don't
way
you
to
give me,
do it.
well, let's talk, and we'll see what the cost of the bands are. Let me know what they are.
Okay.
And we'll
Yeah, I
see-
mean,
we'll see if we
also
can- 'cause
one of the,
all the stuff for the Sundowner was donated. So let me
right,
see-
the band was playing, was donated.
Right, so let me see what we can do.
The money we've been paying to the bands has somewhat been less than it would be normally because they saw it as, and I publicized it to them as a public service event, basically, a charity. So, if we're paying full fare, but, I could lay out what I think the bands would cost. It's possible because there is no admission being charged that they would not need to get their normal fee. But I don't think these bands that I'm suggesting will play as a donation.
I'm not saying that.
Okay, but, so if we can make that work, that's great. I'd love to do it. And I'm happy to do it that way. It makes it easier, actually. You don't have to put up barriers to keep people from just walking in. Because we discussed, snow fences and that kind of thing. So I think, is there a possibility of a further discussion out of this venue?
Sure.
Okay. So that's my idea, September 28th, and, sort of like the Sundowner, but with, more than one band, for one thing, but a similar approach.
Good,
Okay?
thanks.
Thank you.
We've done this in the meetings, so now the agenda. Please, Lenore. Just do a
Okay.
real quick
Sure, do you want to do it now?
Yeah, thank you.
Is there any other public comment before we start with this?
Yes.
Yes.
Could you get up to the podium?
I'd just like to say that
What's your name?
David Palmieri. Well, I agree with Don Marie about, I've been to some different neighborhoods, not necessarily around here, but neighborhoods that have concerts in the park. And I know that the ones that I've seen work is where it's just a completely free venue and hundreds of people show up. And I think, and especially for these initial concerts where you want to build it into this thing where everyone knows about it and everyone likes it and everyone wants to be there, and it turns into this community thing. I think for the initial set of, or at least even the initial season, it would be beneficial to really have it open to everybody where they just show up. And I think that, I don't know, I was going to ask the gentleman, what's his name, Peter?
Peter.
I was going to ask Peter how much money he made on the $20 per ticket event, and I'm sure from what it sounded like, it wasn't that much. And so when you get, I think people fail to realize that when you get hundreds and hundreds of people somewhere, and even if you're selling something on the side, like food, hot dogs even, to make that same amount of money would be easy. Like you said, T-shirts. The town that that comes to my mind that I've been to, where I've seen hundreds of people, I bought a T-shirt that didn't fit me, but it's to support the thing, and it's kind of like a donation. So I think, especially when people have bigger wallets than me, even, the money starts flowing when they see something that looks like a nice community event, and so, in my opinion, that would make it grow easiest, I guess.
I agree with you, 100%. So I think that's what we have. No, I'm never going to agree with you. Let's not go down that road. Louise?
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was public comment. Anyway, hi, I'm Louise Lindenmeyer. I think I met you all a year ago, and work at Hudson River Healthcare, but I also am a board member of Somos La Llave del Futuro, which is a Latino advocacy group, for lack of better definition. We help with a lot of issues around health and security and immigration and culture. And so that is why I'm here today, to ask permission for the Latin Harvest Festival to happen again on the 22nd of September. It's a Sunday, and we'd need the gym from about 1 to 8. The event would probably be from about 3 to 7. I think I hope some of you were there. I think Bill was.
If I remember correctly, we had some problems with people doing some damage and going in parts of the building they weren't supposed to.
Yeah, I followed up on that, and I didn't get any specifics about that. I know that a dance group came and changed their clothes in the auditorium, and that was apparently a no-no. It happened. I can do what I can to make sure something like that doesn't happen again.
Well, we'd have to have, your assurance that something like that wouldn't happen again, because it got a little bit out of control and people were all over the place, and that can't happen.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, I think then we're going to have people specifically blocking that corridor or something. I guess that was what happened.
We can put up yellow tape where we don't want people to be.
Well, I think people got upstairs, correct? That was what happened.
Yes, and there was some damage too, so. Yes.
What? I didn't hear anything about that. I'm very sorry. We would have, we would want to know about that.
Garbage?
So can somebody?
So is someone in your group going to police these people so that there aren't any problems?
Yeah, well, we can do what we, I don't know about policing.
Because I know the first year you had it, we didn't have a problem. It was last year we had a problem.
Yeah, I think we need to put up a barrier so that it's obvious and, with signs as clear as can be that people are not allowed. I guess the problem is the ladies' room, if I know this building, is down that hall. Mm-hmm. So we have to have a bathroom.
Well, as long as they stay on the first floor and, don't cause any damage, that's fine.
Yeah, I guess maybe what I'd heard, which was rumor, because I never really got any verifiable info that things had been damaged, was that some people had gotten into the rooms that are in the corridor. So is there a way that we can make sure they're locked?
Yes.
They're all locked.
They will be locked.
I don't think that happened.
And then if somebody could submit to me what actually the damage was, then I'd like to report that to the board, because they would like to know that. What I do know is that the dance troupe got dressed in the auditorium, and I know that was not allowed.
Okay.
Are you gonna have the same band?
No, unfortunately, yeah. Andes Manta, which is a pretty well-known band from in the Andes tradition. They play music from Ecuador. They've been around for many, many years. But thank you very much. And yeah, we'll make sure about that security thing.
Thank you. Sure. Anybody who hasn't been, it's a great night. It's a lot of fun.
Does she still fill out a form though? And you just
Yes, she has to fill out the form.
to let her know that as the person that heard of it.
So your name's Louise.
Town clerk's report. You have nothing, right, you said?
I just have just a few reminders. I'd just like to remind everyone that per DEC, burning is permitted at this time. So I still get the phone calls if we need a permit. A permit is not needed to burn any longer. DEC has changed those regulations. I'd just like to remind you that when you are burning, to burn responsibly, have a water source available, your hose, have your rake, and always remember that someone must be with the fire at all times. Fishing licenses are still available in the town clerk's office, and as we're all getting ready for our hunting licenses, I've had some calls about that. You cannot get your hunting license until the middle of August, and the season does not start into November. And one last reminder, since we are talking about licenses, according to our town code, it is required that all dogs are licensed throughout the town. If you have a new dog, we would suggest that you come and visit us after the dog has turned 6 months of age, because usually that's about the time, if you're going to spay or neuter your dog, that's when you would do it. If your dog has been spayed or neutered, it's a cost of $12.50. If it is not, it is $20.50. So all I will need is your proof that the dog has its rabies shots from the vet, and come on in and see us. And I've already submitted the minutes, and we'll be discussing that later. And that's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Any other discussions? Minutes?
I've had Gretchen made a couple changes, and I've received Darlene's changes. And since they weren't sent out by email, she would like to, easy change, is I called her Smithfield Church roast beef dinner. It's a ham and strawberry. We have May 9th, May 29th, June 5th, June 12th, June 13th, June 18th, and I've added June 25th, which was circulated.
Is everybody up to speed? Minutes? I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I make a motion, we accept minutes from May 9th, May 29th, June 5th, June 12, June 13, June 18, and June 25th.
I'll second that.
Councilman Reamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Brody?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hitzelberger?
Yes.
Councilman Doyle?
Yes.
And Supervisor Flood?
Yes. Okay, resolutions, the first one is the transfer of funds. Resolution number
42.
2013, transfer of funds, whereas the town board has the authority to transfer funds when necessary and unanticipated to amend the budget, and whereas the town budget line 73104.1.95 youth programs, Connie Mack, requires an increase in the amount of $292.07 for the purpose of legal fees and liability insurance, and whereas the town budget line 71104.1.00 Media Park requires a decrease in the amount of $292.07, and whereas the town budget line of 81604.1.00 refuge garbage requires an increase in the amount of $104 for the purpose of refunding Royal Carding Service for 26 tickets at $4 per ticket, and whereas the town budget line 19004.1.49 special items contingencies requires a decrease in the amount of $104.00, and whereas the town budget line 13304.1.78 tax collector training requires an increase in the amount of $180 for the purpose of tax collection training for Dawn Marie Klingner and Patricia Barron. And whereas the town board line 13304.1.47 tax collector comp software requires a decrease in the amount of $180. And whereas the town budget line 97306.1.60 bond anticipation note requires an increase in the amount of $14,565.00 for principal payments in New York State EFC for old Amenia landfill, whereas the town budget line 19004.1.60 special item CE landfill requires a decrease in the amount of $14,565.00. And whereas the town budget line 19204.1.51 municipal association dues requires an increase in the amount of $500 for alliance dues, whereas the town budget line 19004.1.49 special items contingencies requires a decrease in the amount of $500. And whereas the town budget line 75104.1.00 historian requires an increase in the amount of $10.31 for the brochures from Fountain Press for Amenia, whereas the town budget line 19004.149 requires a decrease in the amount of $10.31. And now therefore it be resolved, the town board authorizes the transfer of necessary budget lines to process the transaction. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Councilwoman Brody? Yes. Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hitzelberger?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
And Supervisor Flood?
Yes. Resolution to rescind the open container law for the Wasatch project July 19th and August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Resolution number 43 of 2013, Wasatch projects. Wasatch Project Summer Festival, August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of 2013, whereas the Wasatch Project is hosting a summer festival on August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, 2013, and whereas the Wasatch Project has requested that the town board rescind the open container law, and whereas the Wasatch Project has requested Furnace Bank Road in the hamlet of Wasatch from the intersection Route 22 to the railroad tracks at intersection Furnace Bank Road and Firehouse Road be closed from 6 p.m. midnight Friday, August 2nd, and from 9 a.m. August 3rd to 3 p.m. August 4th, 2013. And now therefore be resolved that the town of Amenia hereby rescinds the open container law for the event area in addition to the closure of Furnace Bank Road from the intersection of 22 and the intersection of Firehouse Road, as is essential to ensure the safety of the participants, and be further resolved that this resolution will become effective immediately. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Supervisor Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Brody?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hitzelberger?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
Resolution number 43, Wasatch Project Firefighters Fundraiser, whereas the Wasatch Project is hosting
44.
Resolution number 44 of 2013, whereas the Wasatch Project is hosting an event known as the Firefighters Fundraiser on Friday, July 19th, 2013 at 6 p.m. at their location on 19 Furnace Bank Road, Wasatch, New York 12592, and whereas the Wasatch Project has requested the town board rescind the open container law, and whereas the Wasatch Project has requested Furnace Bank Road in the hamlet of Wasatch from the Route 22 intersection to Firehouse Road intersection be closed from 6 p.m. until midnight, and now therefore it be resolved that the town of Amenia hereby rescinds the open container law for the event area in addition to the closure of Furnace Bank Road from the intersection of Route 22 to the intersection of Firehouse Road, as it is essential to ensure the safety of the participants, and be it further resolved that this resolution shall become effective immediately. You know, the only question I have is that last year we had an issue with Stanley with this thing, one of these roads. unfortunately, I don't think he's seen these things. It's the same as what we've done last year, but I know we had a problem with one of them. So we'll deal with that tomorrow. I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Supervisor Flood?
I'll make the motion with the approval, that I have a discussion with Stanley Whitehead to make sure that he's okay with this, because I don't think he's seen this.
I'll
If he makes any,
You're still stuck with that one?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a smart idea.
Okay, so Supervisor Flood?
yes.
Councilman Brody?
Yes.
Yes. Councilwoman Hitzelberger?
Yes.
Councilman Doyle?
Yes.
Councilman Reamer?
Yes.
Oh, you want to go to town board comments? We have none of them? Oh,
You have the constables for the next 2 weeks. You want to do it?
Oh,
this is for Four Brothers.
For Four Brothers.
Resolution number 45 of 2013, whereas the town of Amenia has adopted local law number 3 of 2007 establishing the powers and duties of the town constables, and whereas section 10-7 of the law authorizes the town board to adopt a resolution granting special duties to the town constables upon a determination of the assignment of those special duties is appropriate and it is consistent with the scope of the town council's powers and duties as peace officers. Whereas the Four Brothers Restaurant is scheduled to be conducted in the town of Amenia
That's what their application said.
from a Memorial Day weekend through October 1st, and whereas the town board concludes that it would be in the best interest of the town of Amenia and of the public health and welfare for the town constable to assist in parking and traffic control for this event. This is for the new drive-in movie theater, which has been approved. Whereas Four Brothers Restaurant has agreed to reimburse the town constables for the costs associated with the town constable providing these services. Now therefore it be resolved that the Amenia Town Board hereby grants the town constables the special duties enumerated in section 10-7 C, D, E, F, and G of the Town of Amenia Code during the drive-in theater, including in the period of time prior to and after the event necessary to patrol the area for safety and to assist in controlling and directing the parking and traffic generated by this event. And be it is further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the town constables to carry a firearm as authorized by section 10-6 of the Town of Amenia Town Code while performing the special duties identified in this resolution, and it is further resolved that the Four Brothers shall pay for the costs associated with the town council providing the services identified in this resolution. You okay with this?
I haven't seen it. And I don't seem to have it in my...
You know, I have no problem doing it, but it's Four Brothers Restaurant. Is that actually who's doing it?
Yeah, Four
Okay.
Brothers would be doing it.
All right.
I think if it comes out of their pocket and they want to try this out, it sounds like a
Okay.
great use of that space.
I have no problem with it.
See if
Just
it
that
works.
it's similar to the auction.
It's a little vague, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but people would be
The-
driving in and out.
Is Four Brothers, or are they going to be reimbursing the town
Yes.
for the expense? You certainly can have the authority to
Sure, we've done it in the past.
establish special duties for the town constables.
It doesn't say movie theater, it doesn't say that drive, I guess it does say drive-in once.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with it.
Okay. I'll make the motion, we accept this resolution. We
I'll
approve
second
this
it.
resolution.
Supervisor Flood?
Yes.
Councilman Doyle?
Yes.
Councilman Brody? Yes. Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes?
Councilwoman Hitzelberger?
Yes.
Did you want to keep that?
Sure, you don't.
These are the,
Wait, one more thing. From John Fenton, town board members, the Wasatch Project has come forward to obtain a public gathering permit for the Arts and Music Festival at the event to take place August 2nd through the 4th, 2013. They are requesting that the fee for the gathering fee be waived for this event, as they are a non-profit organization, as was waived last year. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. John Fenton. I'll make a motion that we waive the fees for the Wasatch Project for August 2nd through the 4th of 2013.
I'll second.
Supervisor Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
Councilwoman Brody?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hitzelberger?
Yes.
Okay. Any board comments?
We had some comments from the Christine Ford, who can't be here tonight, who chairs the Recreation Commission. She stated that the Beekman Park has had some of their wooden picnic benches taken. One is missing, and she thinks in the future we should be looking at metal ones, or ones that probably can be staked in the ground the way we have them in Wasatch, so they don't end up in people's backyards. And then she's getting a quote for tables and chairs, which has been requested from the summer recreation, but I know that in hosting the Holiday of Lights and other events here, the dance program, that kind of thing, we do need folding chairs. So I would support their research into what it would cost. You know, just generically speaking, $10 per chair is what you can get cheap folding chairs, and if she could find a cart that would stack them and you could roll them out into the gym and unstack them. And
I know they're looking at the prices
Very
now. I think
good.
they're trying to go through the state bid.
Yep.
I think that's
Yeah,
what they're
she
looking.
got prices from the state bid. They were a lot less than state was.
I know Mary was working on it with them.
Good.
She's looking at it.
So
So they need tables also for
I
the rec
know,
rooms.
and I think for the Holiday of Lights, speaking
Right.
for that group anyway, we're looking at 10 to 12 tables, like 8-foot tables. You know, we need something that can really make that gym be useful for people who want to rent it, or we want to have community activities. The question that Christine Ford had was, what budget line would that come out of? And I think it's a perfectly good use of their savings account if they so think that's, appropriate. Other than that, I don't think that we have any budget line for that kind of amenity. And then the other question that came up, speaking of expenses, is safety, and the park behind the elementary school continues to be just kind of languishing. Nobody's really feeling the responsibility. They feel that it hasn't been turned over or specifically become part of their responsibility and part of the part-time helpers who are paid to take care of parks. That hasn't been officially included in anybody's job description. Particularly what she mentioned was that the swings seem to be in an unsafe state, and that there's piles of leaves that I assume that she's concerned about Lyme disease or kids playing in the leaves and picking up ticks. I don't know. But it has been a languishing problem. I'm just bringing that to your attention, courtesy of Christine Ford. And I know we just...
Do they want to take it over? It's been an issue.
I don't think
with
they, feel that they have the resources or the volunteers to kind of follow through with that. As I recall, we were going to hire a part-time rec director, and at that point come up with, some suggestions for an overall plan back there. One question is it in the right location? Is it, what else is going to be here? There's so many other moving parts having just moved into this building 2 years ago that we haven't yet figured out all the details of how much it would cost to refurbish it. You know, what do we want there? How does it work with the summer rec program? There's all kinds of planning that should be thought out carefully before you start throwing resources. And I know playgrounds can cost a lot, even for modest improvements, so.
And if we're talking down the line geothermal, we don't know where that's gonna be,
That's
actually,
right.
so.
It seems like maybe we should authorize Stan or get some quotes to maybe take away any unsafe equipment. We started that process. Victoria, you helped with that. The, obviously,
The
pieces
swing
that
sets were
are.
fixed, other than we don't have the
That's what I
swings.
thought.
There's another one that needs to be fixed.
It's broken.
Yeah, Culligan's gonna look at it.
We had them
I
welded.
had him look at it today.
We
Yeah.
had them welded last year. I think Pete Bailey was here and welded that, and he welded the stairs in the back at the same time they fixed it. It's missing some swings.
So is that all we need to do, is maybe
I don't
put
know,
some swings
whatever,
up?
I don't know, whatever, I'm not aware of whatever else has gotta be fixed. But obviously it needs work, there's no question.
But do we have the landscape architect take over that thing, or do we?
Well, it's not part of the streetscape.
I know that.
But certainly they do, yeah, they do those kind of things, but I don't know what he
Well, we
would
could
charge to
have-
do it.
You know, that's-
Parkitect is the company that we had do our other park equipment. I mean, I could have them come and take a look at it and give us some ideas. And we also have catalogs from a couple of other companies too.
But don't we have a plan? Don't we
I don't think we owned it when we did our
No.
master rec plan.
It's not part of the master plan.
I'm part of Amenia Recreation. I guess there have always been some kind of issues on, I don't know where it's coming from, on who actually owns it, recreation or the town. To me, it's still a town park, it still belongs to the town. Nobody owns anything. I did have Karen Anderson from Parkitects come in probably just before we moved in. She went through, she recommended what was unsafe, and at that time, some of that stuff was taken out. I know we did have the swings, they were welded, things were put up. They do need more swings. I can get a hold of Karen Anderson. I speak to her quite often. She was willing to come in sometime after, I think, July 4th weekend, or July 4th, somewhere around there. Come in. She said she'd give us an idea of what we could do with it. I spoke with her a few other times. She said that there's different kinds of grants. There's fundraising activities. There's all kinds of things that we can do that's offered now. If we ever look forward to doing something else.
Well, the rec department has a lot of money.
However we want to do it. To me, it's a park is a park, and it all belongs to the town, personally.
You know,
Who's Karen
Well, there's three,
Anderson?
Not that I want to spend their money, but.
No, but
they're-
that's,
but they're gonna
this
have.
is where our summer camp is.
Right. It's
They
gotta be
need
fixed.
something, unless you guys have a plan to move summer camp somewhere else. Personally, I believe this is
Right.
where it needs to be. And there's ways to do things. We've always done things in the past. We've different levels of the park in Beekman, different levels of the park in Walsaic. It's always been worked out. So I don't see why we couldn't do it. I haven't had a chance to talk to recreation. We were doing Little League the whole
I'm
time,
glad
so
you-
I missed some
volunteered your
meetings.
services.
I've missed some meetings, but I speak to Karen quite often. Like I said, she said she was willing to come in, after July 4th and kind of give us some ideas.
I'm glad
Doesn't
you
mean that we have to go with them,
I'm
but
not listening.
it's a way to go.
I'm glad you volunteered, Chris.
I volunteered a lot of my time. I'm the one that got that park
All right,
together last time.
Okay, let's,
So-
all right, we got it together.
Yep.
We had some,
We had somebody donate some stuff. I sat out there with a weed whacker, taking all the weeds down.
we put in, what, 80 yards or 100 yards of
We had a
beach-
great donator who took care of all that for us,
beach
which
stands
was
brought in from Long Island.
phenomenal.
Oh. So there
So-
are things happening, but
Well,
who's
last year
kind
we
of
brought in
overseeing
beach
it?
stands, right?
Last year.
Last
It was
year we
beginning
brought
of
it.
last year.
Yeah. So it needs to be cleaned, obviously.
Right. It does need to be.
All right.
I don't
well,
know if that's on that end.
You want to come up with a plan and talk to her? Maybe we can get Stanley to go and clean it up a little bit?
Absolutely. We'll figure it out.
We'll see.
This way, at least we're all on the same page.
All right.
Thanks, Chris.
And then all we have to do is order the swings, right?
Yes, I was talking to SNS last year. and
Right.
Somewhere it was lost. They weren't getting back to me. That's all it is. She was giving us quotes. I could probably get back a hold of them and.
Why don't you just get the quotes and we'll give you the PO so we can buy the,
It was a handful of swings, a couple toddler and
right.
infant swings.
And I think the chains and stuff are the, whatever, it's in the basement, right? Aren't they?
There's a couple down there. Those are the ones I took off because
Right.
they weren't safe.
Right,
But we have a few swing hangers, some chain, and then the swings.
right. So let's get them, a lot of people use that park.
There's people here all the time,
All the
same with the
time.
basketball courts.
Right.
Then we should,
A lot of people use the basketball courts.
Yeah.
We need to work on getting those lined also.
Well,
I'll report back to Christine.
who
that
does the, who
we should
does the
do it.
lines?
I mean, the recreation should.
Does Easy Street do that?
I don't know, but in BSN, there's a stencil that you can purchase. I had Christine Ford try to put in at the beginning of the year, but I think it got lost with baseball equipment. So it could get purchased, and it could be, just have somebody go down there with maybe the same paint machine they use at the fields. I'm not sure, but there's a stencil for it that we can have stenciled up and have a legitimate basketball court there. It's being used more and more every day.
You got quotes
Right,
in here from Easy Street to line the parking lot.
I could include that.
Right, maybe we can have them get them include the basketball thing.
That would be great.
They could do that.
It'd look nice down there.
Yeah.
Also going to mention the Ramble is taking place, I believe it's just in September, and so the historic walking tour would be September 7th in Wasac, 10 to
Yes.
noon. And then we have a potluck ceremony for the Dutchess County Arts Council that awarded us a project grant for the dance program. So I'm going to go to that on Monday, I think it's Monday, July 8th from 4 to 7. And if anybody wants to go with me, at that point they give us the check and we hear about other projects. So if you want to ride share to 9 Vassar Street, the Kunene Hackett Cultural Arts Center, let me know and I can leave from Cary Institute from work.
When is it?
4 o'clock on, I think it's Monday, July 8th. 4 to 5:30. Just let me know and I'll love to have some company to go there. And Wasac Project was one of the recipients and the Amenia Dance Program was another recipient. So we're well represented there. That's all I have.
I have nothing. We had the Main Street grant meeting on Tuesday, and waiting to hear. I thought Mike would be here tonight to kind of bring us up to date. But so we have another meeting coming up this coming Tuesday. We'll be meeting every week at 8 o'clock in the AM.
Actually, Ian is going to be taking care of all the contracts related to Main Street going forward. I put him in touch with Claire Houlihan, who's one of the people who've been awarded some of the grant money.
She had sent me some proposed changes to the contract, and some of which I was able to accept, or the town's able to accept, some of which aren't. I sent her back a red line by email, and I haven't heard back from her.
Some of the stuff that they've asked to change, we can't change.
Correct.
That's an issue.
And that's
You've got-
explained to her.
I did. I explained
Did the
that.
library get a
Explained it to
contract? Did they get a contract yet or no?
They, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. But they need one, right? You're almost ready. By next meeting, you'll be ready?
Well, we're still waiting for some bids.
Okay.
Got one, two, we still got 3 more to come in. Hopefully soon.
Okay.
The contract form is prepared. It's really just a matter of substituting the
Filling in
names.
filling in the information for each applicant. I just thought Ian was the best person to handle that part of it going forward.
Charlotte, did you get a copy of it?
Contract, I can't remember. Some things were sent to me before, when we first applied, and then we were eliminated, so, I don't know. I can't remember. Not recently,
I have
Is that
it.
something should be signed before the contract, before the bidding is done?
You better make sure that that you can fulfill the requirements of the grant
Right.
before you bother going through all the legwork.
We can't fulfill, we get 2 bids per project.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's part of it, yeah.
We get the second bid in.
But one problem that has been raised, and it sounds like it's a technical problem potentially, is that they don't own the land that they're on. The building is...
99-year lease.
It's on a lease. Oh, I think that does work. Okay,
That should work.
so 99 years should
Should be fine.
be
should
fine.
be.
Okay.
The only thing is, there are some restrictions on the contractors that you use. The town is supposed to have a list of eligible contractors, something like that.
I couldn't hear what you said.
So, well, I believe the town is supposed to keep a list of contractors, and the contractors that submit bids are subject to the approval of
The
the town
town.
board.
We're just forwarding the town, information we get it in.
Yeah,
Okay.
we aren't quite at that point with them yet.
Okay.
Is this a copy of what they should be getting? Because I could give it to Charlotte now.
It is. I think I had made some changes to this form.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, I guess what I could do, I could email the board a template.
It's on the
of
website.
What I have.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
you can forward it to whoever needs it.
Okay. Yeah, they need to read it sooner rather than later, so they're on board. Okay.
These, I handed out to everyone the proposed salaries for each of the camp counselors and the director. I mean, all of this is within their budget.
Okay.
And this is a list of people who are, going to be working in the summer recreation program.
But this is an increase in their hourly rate, I think, right?
For some of the ones that have done it more than 1 year.
All right, we'll just, can we take a look at this first?
Sure.
Okay. And it's in their budget?
Yes. So these amounts are within their budget for summer recreation.
Gretchen?
Okay, so first the great news. The American Iris Society got back to the Hudson Valley Iris and Daylily Society, and Amenia has been chosen as the site for the 2015 Iris Convention.
Wonderful.
Which also means that the Iris, Hudson Valley Iris and Daylily Society will be gifting us historic and reblooming irises for the front of the building. That should be in bloom in October when the event happens. And,
How long an event is it typically?
it's just a weekend.
A weekend?
A weekend thing, yeah.
Okay.
And we're gonna try to work with some of the other art and garden clubs in the area
Yeah.
to have simultaneous activities happening. So it'll be a flowery weekend.
Sounds like an opportunity for an art show at the same time, maybe.
That's what I'm hoping.
Mm.
I'm hoping. I've reached out to Cindy Snow from Art from the Heart, so
Yep.
hopefully
Okay.
something can happen there.
And they
What's
have a
the
new art
date?
show up.
I'm sorry?
While we're on that subject, they have a new art up in the hallways.
Oh.
They've changed the
I
paintings.
blew by so fast coming in, I didn't get a chance to see. We don't have the date set yet.
Oh, okay.
So it's 2 years, so you're okay.
Oh, in
Vicki.
2 years, okay.
Okay, so this week's IT public service announcement is preventing overheating of your computer equipment. I just want to remind you to keep your computer clean, vacuum out the fan, give your computer some space so air can circulate. If your room is 85 degrees, the internal temperature of your computer is 130 degrees. they catch on fire, not much after that. And symptoms of your computer overheating is if it frequently crashes, or your fan starts making a funny noise, or the exhaust coming out of it is really hot. If it happens, just turn it off and let it cool down. Don't put it in the freezer, and don't put it in water to cool it down. That usually doesn't work out too good for you or your computer. So that's our IT public service announcement for the week. Thank you. And then the last thing is regarding air conditioning and cooling for the building. I came up with some signs that were to remind people to turn off lights, air conditioning, and fans and such, so we can like decide, or they can take a, I'll show them to you, Vicki, but then I'll pass them this way so everybody can see. So that's our first on and off bill. This one, kittens seem to be popular. Turn off the fan, turn off the fan, turn off the fan, and he's obviously being blown back. Then we have, oh, hi, I turned fan off for you, and the fan is crushed here on the ground. Then we have a cat clinging on for dear life. Turn off the fan. And then we have just turn off the air conditioning, just the words, nothing too fancy. And then this one, New York City went a little way out on this. It's hot today, high temperatures, expected high energy demand means it's a peak load management day. To conserve energy and avoid blackout, our building staff will be turning off unnecessary overhead lighting, reducing elevator service, increasing space temperatures. To keep the building comfortable for everyone, you should shut off unnecessary lights, lower shades to block the heat of the sun, turn off computer monitors and other office equipment when not in use, unplug personal electronics such as coffee makers or cell phone chargers. And this is actually just a really good tip when we're facing those peak power usage days to help us not go into a blackout. And let's see, you turn on the light, please turn it off. That's always a popular one in our office. And then, because I know Bill likes cows, just turn off the AC. The cow sees tails out because it's breezy outside. And so that one's for your office, Bill. So those are some possible signage we could put up to hopefully remind people, especially during the heat wave. I know it's really hot. We don't have our geothermal system in to balance out the hot and the cold in the building. It's an old building. I live in an old house. I know how nasty it can be. But if we remember to turn off electronics and air conditioning and fans and lighting when they're not in use, it helps on the electric bill, and it actually helps cool the building down a bit because their engines aren't running. So that was all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody have anything else? I just wanted to remind everyone that the Amenia Fire Department Carnival is July 3rd through July 6th. July 5th is the parade starting at 7. July 6th, fireworks will begin at 10 p.m. Please come out and support your local firemen. The Town of Amenia Senior Picnic, open to Town of Amenia residents age 55 and older, is Saturday, August 10th at the Wasaik Firehouse from 12 to 3. Reservations are required. Please call Orpha Thomas at 877-0492 before July 28th.
And are we still doing a senior trip? No.
Yes, I haven't, I'm doing flyers and we'll be putting them up next week. It's August 20th.
August 20th? And where are they going to go?
To Hunt's Landing.
Willow Lane, Ian, where are we with that?
Waiting for county to get back to me.
Okay.
So I did have some contact with Ann Saylor earlier this week, and she's going to get back to me with, there's a proposal that's been talked about that I don't want to disclose in open session, but she should probably get back to me tomorrow, and then I can give everybody an update.
Okay. Connors on David Potter House Road, are they still?
I spoke to Gail Marvin, and that's been resolved. She wasn't aware. They entered into a settlement agreement. He was prosecuted in Justice Court. They entered into a settlement agreement. He was going to remove the unlicensed cars or unregistered cars and then build a garage or structure to house the ones that were registered so that the cars wouldn't be all over his property. He did pull a building permit for the structure. As far as I know, Gail didn't know whether it had been constructed.
I talked to John
yet.
today, it hasn't started.
So he's got there's a time limit on the building permit. I think he's got 6 months to build the building, which he's still within that period. But that's where it is. He has to do that to comply with the settlement agreement.
Okay. I spoke to John Fenton today about the issues on Old Route 22, and I believe he's issued some appearance tickets. The owner of the barn, so they can get that, or it's going to. So that'll be straightened around. Hopefully, at some point, there's a letter that's been given to them as to make them whatever they have to do to make the requirements of that property compliant. They have a certain amount of time, I think, to get that done. I know they've spoken to John. Then I was there several times over the weekend. There didn't seem to be much going on there at all. I met with a couple of the participants there. They seemed to be under control. I did meet with the state police. I did meet with the sheriff's office on Thursday and Friday with John Fenton, so they're well aware of what was going on. There's a limited stuff that they can do and what they can't do. So there's just some issues that so everyone's well aware of what was going on. We're meeting tomorrow with the heating and air conditioning people, I believe.
Right.
3:30.
Jonathan.
To go over the specs for that. So hopefully we can get that done. The town garage, where are we with that?
Oh, I still have more notes to put on.
Okay.
It's busy.
Oh, Easy Street. Did you get the price of the quotes?
They all have.
Yeah.
We were sideways.
I asked Easy Street to come the other day to paint your bicycle. Cheryl?
Yes.
Is that acceptable?
That is lovely. The only thing I wanted to check on it was to make sure that at no point from the top to the bottom of the symbol would both tires be on paint simultaneously. Because in snow and ice, you'll lose control of your motorcycle or your bicycle if they're both on wet, icy paint. That's the only thing I just want to check, but it looks perfect.
We also got a quote to do the, and I believe these people have the quotes from the town highway department. So as far as bidding, we were okay with this. To paint 6 shared bicycle lane symbols 250 feet apart, which they said they have to be 250 feet apart in order to meet the grant specs.
Right.
Because they just did the city of Beacon. On one side of Mechanic Street, the question they had, did they need them on both sides? I guess it's just one side, right?
I was kind of hoping, because Arlene pointed out at the last meeting that if you have all of this painting going on, it can be really busy, so I was sort of hoping we could alternate. But I wasn't sure what the code said on that. It's really specific. But if we could, it'd be nice. If we can't, we can't, but.
That was $480.
And then the only thing Stanley had about that was that if we go with them, we won't own this, we won't own the stencil. And is the town board comfortable with not owning the stencil? I thought that we would be comfortable with not only owning the stencil, because in a way it's sort of a trial. But what do you all think about that?
Does Stanley paint lines? No, he doesn't do that. He probably
No, he
hires
bids it out to these
Yeah.
people.
These people bid it out.
So it doesn't seem likely that
Right.
we're going to take on painting roads. It's a specialized
Right.
thing, I would think.
Right. So
I think not owning the symbol is not a problem.
I have no
Stencil.
problem subbing it out with these people are into it. They do a great job for us. They also clean the streets for us.
I'd like to see the layout, actually, too. I mean, if we had the distance in the road and where these are going to be placed, you say every 250 feet, but then you end up, not quite next 250 feet. I mean, it would be nice to have them equally spaced, if that's possible. I don't know.
Yeah,
Does it tell how big they are?
it gives the exact dimensions
Okay.
of them, Darlene.
I haven't really had a chance to read through them.
I was gonna do an overlay of them on the GIS map.
Yes, yes.
So we
something
could
like
really
that.
tell.
So get a
Do you want
sense
to
of
call this guy
scale.
tomorrow? You want to speak to him?
I could do that, sure.
And ask him exactly, because you know exactly what you want. I'm gonna slough it right off to you.
Oh, thanks, Bill. Sure.
You're very welcome. Also, I got a price to lay out the parking lot for 50 car stalls, 2 handicap, no parking, a fire lane up front here, which is, obviously in the front of the building, and fire lanes as site inspection with me. So that was $650 and $480. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve it. The bids.
That's one bid.
Yeah, but they're already authorized through the town highway. They have the bids.
So they got the bid to do that type
They
of
do
work
the
through
right,
highway?
Right, they do this, I think they do the street cleaning, they also do some marking for them.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that we
Well,
gave
if you want me to
them the
give it
bid.
Well, they did the streets.
I think we have to rebid it if it's more than 250.
Yeah.
right?
All right, well, I
More
can get
than
other quotes,
500.
there's no problem.
Yeah, I think we need more quotes.
Okay, that's fine. But would you talk to them tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll give them a call.
Okay. I think that's all I've got.
Actually, I have a email response regarding ARC 38 from Nina Peak, our chair of the planning board, who's stated, since June 10th, no one from ARC 38 has submitted any application materials to the town or to the planning board, nor have they submitted any schedule for compliance. Besides the use issue, which is most pressing, they are still in violation of many of the building codes, New York State DEC wetland buffer regulations, New York State Department of Health regulations, various chapters of our zoning law, junk equipment. They have too many unrelated people living in the same structure. So
But
it doesn't sound like anything has gone to the planning board at this time.
But I believe that Fenton has issued that, correct? Echo?
There's a timetable that's on
Right.
schedule.
Could you go up to the podium,
Actually,
please?
I haven't had a
If you're
chance to
going to
review
speak.
this. Could we
Yeah, all right.
put this off?
This is new, right? Or this is old?
No, this is June 27th.
Were we just getting it tonight?
Yeah.
So, all right, just, since we haven't even seen it, I
Well,
talked to
it's
John about it today, that you have until the end of August, right, to be compliant? Is that correct, Bill?
I think it's, we're meeting with them again on Monday.
Right? Right. So I know he's giving you a time frame as to when you have to be compliant.
As far as the building safety, yeah, well, if you want to state something first.
My name is Bill Henry. I'm the owner of the old Luther Place, and I would like for Echo, who you know, Devin Irby, to speak on my behalf. Is this acceptable to the board?
No. Is he your power of attorney?
Well, I have no problem with speaking. We're not going to discuss any, this is just a discussion, correct?
Yes, but the person who was actually given the order to remedy was you, Mr. Henry.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
I said the person who was given the order to remedy and the violations, the Board of Health violations, was you.
Right, but he can have a person speak for him, right, in a public meeting, I would think.
It's up to to you if you want to allow him to do that. That's fine.
We tried to find a notary public today. We literally received the letter yesterday.
Could you please go up to the podium?
Sure. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
So we are here to make a clear and legal response that we have been in conversation with and making a clear and legal response to the letters dated May 23rd. And again, this last one was dated June 18th. It was postmarked June 24th, and we received it yesterday, saying that a clear and legal response needed to be made today. And that's why Bill came here, and that's why we're here, is in order to answer this letter that was literally received yesterday.
Okay, but you're going to have to answer his complaints in writing, correct?
Right, yeah.
You're going to meet with him on Monday?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's had in his inbox, it's a shared timetable that lays out every single one of the code violations.
This needs to happen in writing.
Right.
It's in writing, it's available, it's an open document.
This is like...
Okay. All right, I don't
Now,
wanna
is
get
the
into-
barn still posted? I understand some of the posted signs were taken down.
No posted signs were ever taken down. There are 3 posts on the
There are
barn.
now.
There has always been one, and then 2 more were added. They
Then
were,
why are you still using the barn?
as per stated by, first of all, that's, upon proof of claim, I would be glad to accept your request for more information on that. And I've been told both by John Fenton and the Health Department that legitimate daytime activity usage of the space would not be in violation. Everyone who's there would know, be able to be fully informed of the state of affairs, that we're working to raise the money, get engineers, and take care of these
But
things
in the
that were cooked
meantime,
up.
you're not supposed to be using the building.
If that's what you're saying, I
No,
haven't seen that
it's
in
been
writing.
posted, and it says right on the posted paper. Did you read it?
And in fact, everyone who was otherwise attempting to lay their head down for even an hour or two have been relocated to, there's 2 trailers there and other agricultural housing. So again, those, that particular statement is not accurate. And I believe, I've been in touch with John Fenton today by text, and he said that we'd be able to meet, I guess, on Monday. So.
All right. So you got to deal with him, and then you're going to have to deal with, I'm sure, he's
It
been
was
in touch with you.
supposed to be
correct?
30 days beyond July 6th.
John
June 6th, which is
sent
when
me
it's
an email
posted.
today. I didn't know about the violation notice. John had mentioned about the building being posted because it's unsafe structural.
It's been posted.
Yeah. So that would be to require that it be repaired or demolished, if my understanding is correct, that it's structurally unsafe.
Yes.
And so that
He
there's a
pointed out that the-
process in the code to follow.
Yeah, he pointed out that the remedy was actually, we've laid it out. There's no possible reason to tear down the barn. It's in extreme good shape. It's been there for a long time. There are specific things that can be done structurally. We'd love to do
It
them, and we
wouldn't be
now have
posted
them
if it
on
was in
schedule
good
to do
shape.
that. But we
If
need
it-
a crew to fix them, do we
If it
not?
was in good shape, it would not be posted.
I don't believe that's the case. I
Well,
think these things were cooked up.
You don't believe a lot of things are the case, but they are.
But hold on. Before you get into this thing, there's some issues that you have to deal with the zoning administrator, not us, at this point.
Correct. Yeah, we were just
Correct.
trying to make it clear that we got this yesterday. We're here to make a clear legal response, that we're in complete discussion and conversation, that we've addressed over half of the concerns, that we're on a timetable to resolve the remaining ones.
Sure. Okay?
but I think you need to make that clear with the planning board.
We can be in touch with planning as well. I just, the letter that you just read,
That's it.
for me, that peak was the first week it wasn't sent to anybody here.
Well, the issues with the planning board would be different than the
Correct.
structural integrity of the building.
Right.
Just
So you've got to, well, you have to talk to John Fenton about that. If he issued the notice, you know, you've got a certain period of time where you have to respond. Otherwise, the town board can make a determination or order that the structure be
But that's after,
demolished.
but that's after John's department is,
Correct. John
So,
would make the
at this point-
report to the,
It's mute to us,
okay.
right? They have to meet, they have to come to some kind of terms as to what they're gonna do with the building with John Fenton to make it habitable, and the health
Okay.
department, so on and so forth.
But they still shouldn't occupy the building. If someone were hurt or injured, or
And they
it's
have
an unsafe condition, I mean, they
Right.
can't
and
occupy
that's up to
structure.
the building department.
That was my understanding. That's part of the
It's been
process
posted.
is
It's posted.
But they're
providing
using
the
it.
notice that the building can't be used.
It can't be occupied.
There's animals and plants, there's active farm operations,
But-
and it includes all three lines.
We're outside of
okay.
If
public
it says
comment.
not to use
This is
it,
up
you're
to
not
two
to
different
use it.
Yeah, I haven't
departments.
seen
Case
the
closed.
And
notice,
it's
but if the notice says you
inappropriate.
can't, it's not habitable, you shouldn't,
Yeah.
nobody should be in there.
At any time.
Our silence is 9 seconds.
All right. You know what you gotta do. You know, if you're using the barn, you're not supposed to be using the barn. And we all know that at this point. So, talk to Fenton.
How are we supposed to fix the building if we cannot
Who is
go
this?
in there? and fix it?
Your name?
My name is Jose.
Jose?
Cabanelli.
That's stuff you gotta work, obviously, you're allowed to work on the building, but you gotta file plans and stuff to make it, with John, with the zoning administrator, come up to an agreement as to what you're gonna, how you're gonna work it, what you're gonna do, but that's his call, not our call.
So hopefully we'll have something to present, I guess,
Yeah.
through him or.
Yeah,
through
you gotta deal with him, and then the plan, he'll take you through the planning board process, whatever has to be done with Nina, that'll be done. That has to be done through him, that starts with him.
Okay,
And then you start the process with them,
thanks.
okay?
Yeah, we're just trying to get
Yep.
a fair response there.
That's fair.
Thank you.
That's all I've got. Anybody,
No, just the other portion of that.
oh, you wanna go into executive session?
Yeah, just 15 minutes.
All right.
I would also mention that there was a really great WASIC project summer exhibit preview party on June 15th in WASIC, and it was wonderful to see hundreds, I would say 100 at least,
Hundreds.
people come to WASIC. I saw people from New York City, people from the Berkshires. I said, what are you doing all the way here? And they came to WASIC to preview the party. It was amazing. It was really worth going to. And they raised $39,000. This exhibits are open now in the summer. And go tour it. It's really, they're really doing amazing things. They're getting bigger and better every year.
It was an amazing party to see all those people
Really
to come
was.
together, to raise $39,000 in 4
night.
hours in one night
Yeah.
in Wassaic, New York for building.
No,
into-
the town
That's
came to life. It was
Yeah.
quite beautiful.
It was incredible
Beautiful
what they
night.
did. And the food was good.
Yep. Thanks to Cozy Corner
No,
for
no,
one.
but all the local purveyors supplied the
There were a
food
lot.
for free.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
I was
The
so busy
music was
talking,
good.
I couldn't eat anything. I hardly ate anything. It
I
was
made up for
so
it.
great because I saw so many people there. It was
Yeah.
really, really great. Come next year.
Yeah, it was good. It was fun. We need to go into an executive session to discuss some policy procedures, I guess that's what we can do. Is that legal?
Well, say it's for
It's in the area
personnel
of
or
personnel.
legal matters.
Personnel.
It's legal matters,
Okay, that's,
okay?
Yeah.
So we need to adjourn, we're gonna go into
Can I just
executive.
add one thing before we go?
Sure.
My name is Mark Noel, and just on a lighter note, I work with
Yes.
think that the property, the building, has great potential to host very nice festivals and very nice concerts. And I think, as you all know, there's a great arts community around this region. And I think with a focused effort to reach them, it would be more than happy to be involved in facilitating any rehabilitation or contributing resources on many levels. And I would be willing to lend my resources to helping to facilitate that effort.
Great. What's your last name?
Nuovo, N-U-O-V-O.
You're hired.
You're
on.
I think
we're all too tired to take it on.
That's why I wait till the end and I come in.
Oh, that's great.
I think a website is a really nice starting point to reach out to the arts community. And I wouldn't be opposed to even knocking on doors myself. I'm in the music business, and I think that the outdoor property and I think the auditorium has an incredible potential to be rehabilitated and really attract really nicer shows. I mean, I've seen festivals on lesser properties draw an incredible crowd and really high caliber acts. And there are a lot of, as you guys know, probably very high caliber acts that reside right here in the region. And I think they would be more than happy to. I think the building is great. I've walked through there a few times. I've walked the property a few times. I think there's a great potential to put on some very nice festivals. Have any of you ever been to Keene for the Pumpkin Festival that they have there?
Keene,
New Hampshire?
New Hampshire, no.
Incredible.
Oh, I've heard of it. I have friends who go there
It's incredible.
all the time.
They have
Big
like
deal.
the world's record for the most carved pumpkins, and they just keep putting up higher and higher scaffolding, and these carved pumpkins continue to just light up the sky, and then they have a big contest at the end, and it's judged by crowd response, and then they hand out awards, and it just does incredible things for the town. It draws incredible amounts of people, family, and there's food, and there's food vendors, and it's a really nice sort of festive sort of atmosphere.
Mr. Nuovo, I would encourage you to shoot myself or Vicky, who works with the Enhancement Committee, an email, and we'll be more than happy to see where we could work together and do things for the town.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
I need a motion to go into executive
I'll make that
session.
motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you all.